What's up, fight fans? I just woke up. I'm about to go to my job here in a couple hours, but real quick, I'm going to make a video of the most uncanny body types in the UFC. We got Palumbos, we got beer bellies, we got chicken legs, we got guys who are built like SCP, skinwalkers. We're going to be looking at some of the most crazily constructed humans in the UFC. And yes, I will be scrutinizing the way that some of these fighters look. So, in exchange, I will be opening myself up to that same level of scrutiny. This is my build. I just want to let you guys know you are not watching MMA Guru whenever BeewolfMMA is releasing content. We're in shape over here, bro. Not the best shape. I will admit that I was leaner before, but I mean, we still put in work, bro. So I mean, I feel like I could maybe talk a little bit. I stand 5'11", close to 200 pounds right now, actually. I'm like mid 190s as we speak. I've never been this heavy before. But I mean, I'm still like decently lean. So yeah, don't come for me in the comment sections and be like, oh yeah, well you're just a fatty. Fatty, fat. Talking about these fighters who get in shape and fight for a living. You fatty fat. You fatty, fat man. So the first fight that we're going to be talking about is Reinier De Ridder. I just got one of these done. One of the in-body scans where like you stand on the machine, you hold like the paddles, and it gives you like your BMI and like your body fat percentage, and it like measures the weight and leanness of all of your limbs, and then your trunk, which is like your middle section. Reinier De Ridder's trunk is like disproportionately muscular and more massive than the rest of his limbs. I made a joke in the past that he kind of looked like a Left 4 Dead 2 Charger, but I think that another good comparison is like Swamp Folk from that one Point Lookout DLC from, I think it was Fallout 3. The mutated swamp people whenever you go to Maryland. Reinier De Ridder is built so crazy, especially after his weight cut too, because he should theoretically be like super lean, right, for 185 pounds, and granted he is so big, but it just like, it doesn't happen for some reason. And then he rehydrates and he just looks like the Moose Man, like just like an anthropomorphic deer. So here we go. Next we have Sean Woodson. This guy just has a real skinwalker build. You remember that one movie Legion where like there was the ice cream man who comes out and they're like, oh, is that the ice cream man? And the ice cream man comes out and he's like this tall, slender figure. And then like he like elongates his arms and his legs and starts crawling towards the gas station like a spider. That's real ball knowledge. You guys know what I'm talking about. Sean Woodson has one of the most perplexing builds for being a featherweight I've ever seen in my life. I wish he didn't have tattoos sometimes so we could see like the full range of definition on his body. His musculature looks so sparse on his body. Like this man looks like he's been skipping leg day since 1982. It's just such a weird build. Sean Woodson low-key just has a gamer build. Like it's a guy who just plays RuneScape all the time. Classic RuneScape. Or a game from the Dark Souls series and just doesn't come out of his room. He's for sure like Wendigo maxing my boy Sean Woodson. Next we have my dog Carlos Prates. I said in the fight week build-up of UFC 322 that he looked like Waluigi. And at the very end of my stream, I said that he had legs like that one episode of Family Guy where he's like walking on the street corner, Peter Griffin. And the guy drives up next to him and he goes, those legs go all the way up? And he opens up the dress and they do. And he's like, oh, and he drives off. And then Peter's like, come back. Those are literally the dimensions of Carlos Prates. Long, slender build. This guy has like a 6'8" wingspan at 6'3", which is like ridiculous. This man can scratch his ankles while standing straight up. And he's a tall guy too, which is just remarkable. The wingspan of Carlos Prates is like the most zoot attribute out of any fighter that they can boast. This dude is like a physiological specimen, and I can't even hate on that because it helps him get knockouts, and he's skinny so like he doesn't have to kill himself to cut weight. This man is eating Nutella cakes. I was actually blown away whenever Jon Jones had been talking about all the preparations that he was making to become a heavyweight after being at 205 for so long, and I was seeing him like train in his garage and do deadlifts and squats, and I was like, oh man, this dude's gonna get jacked, bro. And then he shows up like this to fight Cyril Gane. And I remember he had hurt himself too, but that was literally a pectoral injury that he suffered before the Stipe Miocic fight. He had already made his heavyweight debut, and this is what he looked like during that. And I I couldn't believe that he looked so like chunky. This was my first time ever seeing Jon Jones fight live, and he just was a little bit tubby. And I was like, well, why didn't they let him take steroids? Why didn't he just take them anyways? This is unbecoming of the greatest fighter of all time. You don't at least look like who Dana White says that you are. And then he subbed Cyril Gane in like one round, so whatever. The proof is in the pudding. But he was looking like Juice WRLD in the Bandit music video in his heavyweight debut. It was crazy, man. This is a joke that I made in a few fight week build-ups. Mateuz Rebecki. I don't know how to even say it at this point. Rebecki is, I think that's how they say it. Like, Rebecki. This guy is a Gary Coleman build. Super short legs, short arms, big trunk. This man literally has the same dimensions as a guy who's been born with dwarfism and has been dealing with it his whole life. He's got some little hands, too, like how they're balled up right there. The distance between his elbow and the end of his wrist as well is just like, it's so funny. This guy's skeleton probably looks like a copper golem, like that new Minecraft mob that they added into the game. My dog is literally built like the homunculus, and it's mad funny. I can't really hate too much, though, on this fighter or the one that we just got done talking about, because Mateuz Rebecki is hella jacked. And I can say the same thing for Arman Tsarukyan here. And I always have to double take whenever I see this man's physique at a distance, right? He has a Sneltra, like that little line of hair that goes from your belly button down to like your meatus. And he never shaves it, so it creates the illusion that he has an 8-pack. I always have to count each of the abdominals whenever he's like doing media, right? He looks like Krieg from Borderlands 2. His pecs look like they have pecs, bro. Arman Tsarukyan is crazy jacked. I think it's courtesy of like how well fed he is outside of camp, but whenever he does cut weight and dial in for 155 pounds, he always looks very lean and like sizable as well. His arms are very big. Look at how big his biceps are in that photo where he's like hitting the double bicep flex. This is one of the best fighter physiques that there is in any weight class. Next, we have Patchy Mix, the No Leg Day CEO. This guy's really built like Drac from Hotel Transylvania. And whenever I do see him fight, I'm always just like, dude, how is this man 5'11" at bantamweight? And I look at his legs and I'm like, oh yeah, that's how. I don't know, man. It's probably easier to get like triangles and do jiu-jitsu with those types of dimensions, but I would feel way too insecure, bro, if I just didn't have any musculature on my legs. If this guy did train legs, and he got some more mass on like the lower half of his body, he could be a welterweight, bro. He just got a little bit larger up top too. I don't know, man. I just feel like big quadriceps is power. Maybe that's the reason why he's not hitting so hard on the feet. Because, I mean, he's not able to punch with his legs because, I mean, they're not there. Seems like nobody's really tried to utilize a leg kick heavy approach against him as well. But, I mean, it seems like it'd just be right there for the taking, dude. Look at the way, like, I'm not going to go in too hard on this guy, but, I mean, I think some squats at this point would probably be something worth considering. This is something that I just noticed recently at UFC 322. Pat Sabatini has a crazy build. He's built like a cartoon apple. There's a couple other fighters who are built like a cartoon apple, or even like a fist, you could say as well, like a bald fist. Pat Sabatini is one of those guys who looks relatively lean whenever he is flexing his abdominals or whenever he's like fresh and not breathing heavily, but he's got one of those like Palumbo builds to whenever he like starts to exert himself and like breathe through his diaphragm, it like inflates all of his guts and they look like this towards the end of action. Against Shepe Mariscal, he was just looking like the Applebee's manager right there. Definitely some crazy physiology, but I mean, he winning, so I can't even hate. He beat my boy. I said that Shepe was going to be one of the best prospects at featherweight, and he lost to Pat Sabatini, so whatever he's doing is working. This is the next fight that we talk about, Brian Ortega. And it's not necessarily anything like crazy about this dude's build. I just think it's magnificent how, even whenever he weighed in at 155 against Diego Lopez at UFC Noche at the Sphere, he just refuses to get lean. I don't understand it. And then, like, the craziest part about last time is we saw him almost pass away on the scales in Shanghai. And then 4 weeks later, he makes weight, or he looks like a lot leaner than he did on that fight night. I'm not even sure if you could call this an endomorph build because, I mean, it doesn't even seem like he's packing on that much muscle onto his frame either. It's just there's, like, no definition, and he can never get on weight. So this is the most perplexing build out of any fighter at featherweight. The reason why he can't consistently make 145 is a complete mystery to me. I've never understood why. And I don't think it's down to a lack of working hard because he seems committed to making these dates and to fighting whenever he isn't on weight. He'll do whatever he has to do in terms of like making a catch weight or trying to drain a little bit more so that he can actually fight. I just really wonder why he is one of these guys who just cannot make his weight class whenever it seems like it should be possible for him to do, like very possible. Now we have Michael Morales. Michael Morales is a fighter who's inspired me. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I have around the same dimensions as Michael Morales. He's 6 foot, and if he is like a true 6 foot, which I don't believe that he is, I'm 5'11". So, I mean, I'm right there. With shoes on, I'm about the same size as Michael Morales. Michael Morales is like 200 pounds lean, and that makes him look absolutely jacked up. And I see him out of camp too, and this guy is like, even whenever he's a little bit fluffier and softer, he still looks massive. The amount of muscle that this man packs onto his frame is ridiculous. I'm glad that he's able to command it too, so that he can get down to 170 pounds whenever he weighs in. This guy can make championship weight, no problem. It looks like he's going to need to do that too here soon against Islam Makhachev if he does end up getting the shot. It'd be so funny if Bilal Muhammad beats Ian Gary this weekend, oh my gosh. But yeah, Michael Morales is an absolute freak of nature. How does he do it? It seems like no matter what, this man just keeps on getting bigger and leaner and is still able to make 170. I wonder what his weight program is. Like, actually, I really wonder what, like, his split is through the week. How is he strength training leading up to these events? I really wonder. And Dricus Du Plessis is another guy who we're going to mention. Insanely deezed at 185 pounds, but whenever he was a welterweight in KSW, look at him in the sauna right there at the bottom left. Crazy minced, dude. This guy's musculature, his abdominals specifically, they're so, like, developed. He looks crazy. He looks like one of the bruiser enemies from Borderlands. I keep on making Borderlands references, but I mean, game is just full of jacked dudes, and Dricus Du Plessis definitely looks like one of those bruisers. This man is so large that people have theorized forever that this dude is on steroids, and whenever he's out of camp, he just looks absolutely massive. He doesn't even get like fat, dude. He just retains a little bit more water, and he just looks really big. Dricus Du Plessis low-key has a more aesthetic physique in the UFC than Leon Edwards. And I'm not even going to say low-key. I think that honestly should be something that we should be on board with. Leon Edwards looks good, but I don't think he has enough mass. Dricus Du Plessis is like big and lean, bro. I don't know why people don't glaze him more for having a good physique. Because I mean, look at the vasculature as well of like his arms. This man has like insane bicep veins, bro. And his shoulders are big, and they're proportionate with, like, his hips. Dricus Du Plessis is definitely among the most aesthetic fighters in the UFC, bro. And I think that he places higher than a lot of different guys who would be universally ranked above him by other fans. Sean Strickland is the next guy that we're going to talk about. And it's not even necessarily, like, whenever he's on weight that, like, he looks crazy or, oh my gosh, like, Sean Strickland whenever he's 185 pounds. I'm talking about off-season Sean Strickland. And that's not really a criteria for scoring other fighters. It just came out of a complete left field to me whenever Sean Strickland had announced that his walk-around weight is about like 230, 240 pounds. He's basically Josh Hokett whenever he's not dialed in to make 185 pounds, which is crazy. That photo at the far left there is whenever he was training with Alex Pereira. Sean Strickland is like, he's massive, dude. There was a video of him sparring with Anpo in Japan, bro, and like, he doesn't even have to balloon up to get that large. It's just his natural weight. He doesn't look like fat. Like, even in that middle photo there, he's like poking his stomach out. Sean Strickland is just a big dude. I can't believe this guy was ever making 170. That actually seems crazy to me in retrospect. He's fought at 205 on short notice, and like, yeah, that actually isn't a crazy far-fetched thing to imagine, as Sean Strickland is a 205er. He may actually end up going up to light heavyweight at a certain point of his career where he can't be competitive with the rest of the middleweights in the division. If he loses to Hamza Chimaev, I'm low-key holding out for that to happen. Sean Strickland is massive, is what I'm trying to say. He's a big dude. He's actually like a large human. The same thing can be said for Gregory Rodrigues at 185 pounds. DC and all the fellas on the commentary panel were laughing at this guy during his fight with Roman Kopylov at UFC 322. And Daniel Cormier said, this guy he's got to be 185 pounds for like 10 minutes. He just goes and he makes the weight and then he goes back and rehydrates. Because how the heck is this man walking around the way that he looks in the cage at 185 pounds at any point of the last week that you see him before he fights, right? The thing that looks so screwed up about Gregory Rodrigues, though, is his like muscular proportions. His abs are massive, dude. And they're like 90% of his upper body. It's more like 60, I'm being dramatic, but still, it's such a pronounced like amount of mass that he carries in his stomach, but it doesn't look like fat at all. He's diced there, but those are just big muscles, his abdominals. Very strong core on Gregory Rodrigues. Underdeveloped pectorals, it looks like. Very dry, but also like small shoulders too, right? His arms are bigger than his shoulders, and the thing that's really holding his physique together and making it look very dominant are the size of his traps. Huge traps. This guy is built like Frankenstein's monster. And he has this imposing, threatening appearance, and to cap it all off, he looks like Barack Obama, and he calls himself RoboCop. This guy very well may be one of the scariest fighters at 185 pounds. My fellow Americans, Gregory Rodrigues really is absolutely deezed. Next we got Michael Venom Page. This is a guy who has some Brian Ortega genetics, right? I don't understand why this dude can't really get lean. I mean, maybe at 170 pounds you could, but even whenever he fought Michael Perry and Bare Knuckle FC, he's still just like, he doesn't have protruding muscles. I used to work at this running store in college, and one of my managers was like this black dude who kind of looked just like Michael Venom Page, just he had a low fade, like my own, instead of a bald head. And he was built just like this guy, and he didn't really even train at all. And to cap it off, I'm sure that it's associated with some either fighting sustained injury or something from his childhood. I don't know what that little pocket is, the front right side of his abs. I always look at that whenever he fights. What? It feels like you could like put your hand in there. This guy is a crazy build, like truly. Especially at 185 pounds where he's a little bit softer. It always looks like Michael Venom Page is going to get beat up whenever he gets matched up against a guy like Jared Cannonier, who's absolutely just shredded to the gills. But nah, man. Fighting is not the eye test, and big muscles do not equate to having the ability to do work inside of the cage. And Michael Venom Page is living proof of that. But still, man, I can never understand why he couldn't get a dialed in looking physique. I follow his strength and conditioning coach on Instagram, and I see how hard he trains. And it's like, how are you not getting ripped, bro? And on the same token, I could ask myself, how is Michael Venom Page not getting like crazy ripped, right? From the work that I see him doing. And from the work that I see Ateba Gautier doing, I want to know, how is he getting so ripped? This guy looks like a Bane action figure. His abs have the craziest definition I've ever seen in my life. And it seems like he's the type of guy to walk around looking exactly the way that he does in cage all year round. This dude's weight probably does not fluctuate at all, and he just gets bigger and leaner in between fight camps. So his cuts may like be a little bit more difficult for him every single time that he shows up, but he still shows up. I don't know how this man is making 185 pounds, because everywhere this dude is just, he's ripped. I really wonder what this man's body fat percentage is. It's probably like 5, 4, and like some change. Ateba Gautier is absolutely diced. One of the craziest builds in terms of like fullness and like functional muscle as well, because he hits like a truck. It's not one of these guys like Michael Chandler, right, who hits hard but can't output the power in a way that's meaningful, other than on like a few occasions. Ateba Gautier is always knocking people out, and he looks like he could do that, and he does. This is another guy who has like a crazy Skyrim gargoyle build. It's like Swamp Folk from Fallout 3. He's built like Springtrap, Kyle Daukaus. I always geek out on the way that this man's body is constructed whenever he's about to fight. Especially on the scale too, because again, I mean, that should be like, in theory, the leanest that you are if you are weight cutting properly and fighting at the proper weight class. But some guys, they just look like they've eaten a tire. The craziest part of this guy's build is how squared off his shoulders are. Because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he kind of looks the same as Reinier De Ridder in, like, the midsection, right? But his shoulders are just really squared. That's why it kind of looks like he's, like, in an animatronic suit. I don't know why I'm always making Five Nights at Freddy's references on this channel. But it makes me laugh, you know? This guy looks like Springtrap. This is the Cartoon Apple General. The fist-built General. Torrez Finney is built like a fist, man. This is another guy who's just built like the Applebee's manager. 5'8" middleweight, we're definitely going to get some crazy physiology with those types of dimensions. Torrez Finney, he looks like something that you would see standing in your doorway during a fever dream. Imagine 4 a.m., you're having sleep paralysis, and you look in the corner of your room and you see Torrez Finney just like twitching his head. I'm peeing right where I'm laying, dude. That's going to scare the absolute daylights out of me. Look at this man's neck, too. This guy has traps that are swallowing up his shoulders. No middle definition, but huge arms and a massive chest, too. This guy he's literally built like this. Ball a fist, and look at it, that's Torrez Finney. The final fighter that we have to mention is Jamahal Hill. I never understand why this guy always looks like he's in one of the trimesters, depending on where he is, out of camp, or in the cage, or cutting weight. Whenever he's on the scales, he's still got like a belly poke in. Whenever he's out of camp, I remember that one TikTok that he made that people were roasting him for, where he was like about to spar with Marab, and then it pans over to him, and his stomach looks fake in that photo at the very bottom. That's the picture from the video that people were like, whoa, how are you even constructed like that? Probably like chicken, I don't know, like pizza and soda, like Floyd Mayweather. I eat pizza, I drink soda. That's literally Jamahal Hill whenever he's not in a fight camp. Or whenever he's in a fight camp. Because this guy, I don't know, dude. Feels like that's a lot of wasted space. He could be evenly distributing towards his chest muscles. Or building larger shoulders. Or getting stronger legs. since he is a guy who has like a bunch of tendon issues, right? Why don't we get lean so that we can build muscle in areas where it would be more impactful for our performances? That just kind of makes sense to me. I mean, he's been champion before, hasn't won a little bit, so maybe he needs to switch up the approach. But I mean, Jamahal Hill, I always wondered why this guy is built the way that he is. He looks like he hasn't passed stool in like 8 years. Like he just really has to fart. Jamahal Hill got a gassy build. He just looks like he got indigestion. So yeah, I'm gonna have to edit this video and see how I perceive my own self in talking about a bunch of different men for like 30 minutes. Maybe this didn't come off as the most heterosexual video. Hopefully I don't sound like a finoich. Hopefully I don't sound like too much of a pretentious jerk as well. I could crash my car on the way to work and like look like an absolute nugget forever, you know, and have a crazy build myself. So who knows, man? Maybe it's wrong for me to be critical of the way that these people look, whenever all I really care about is the subject matter itself. I feel like I did an even job of like critiquing and praising certain fighters though. So let me know what you think are some of the craziest builds in the comment sections. Fighters that I missed, people with uncanny resemblances to fictional characters that you would have never imagined real before. Let me know. And as always, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna catch you fellas in the next one. Peace out.